Hi, I'm Anthony for Sydney Backyard Veggies. Just out in the patch again this afternoon. I'm over at my sweet corn patch, and over the last 2 weeks they've put on a lot of size. I'm having a little bit of problems at the moment with the winds that we have here in Sydney. They're starting to knock over the plants, so I'm going to come through now and support them by healing the soil around the base. But before I do that, I'm going to install my irrigation on these plants and add a little bit more fertiliser. So before I start installing my irrigation system, I just wanted to show everyone what I use in my garden. I've been using a weeper hose or a soaker hose. This is a 50-meter length of hose, and it comes pre-attached with its attachments. Got this one from Bunnings, and it's the Nilex brand. And I've been using this for the last 4 years in my veggie patch, and I find it works quite well in my context. I will do a separate video on my irrigation system. I've had a few questions asked about it in the past, but for now, just need to go through and install this irrigation system along the corn plants, and then I will go and add my fertiliser. So I'm just coming through now and installing the irrigation. I will start first from this row, and I will loop the hose all the way down the bed, and so just progressively doing that. I will use a little steel pegs to hold it in place for now, but essentially I'm just going to go through and store the hose as I go along. So now that I've installed the irrigation, I want to add just a little bit more nitrogen fertiliser to these plants. Corn really loves nitrogen fertiliser, so the more you put, the better. I have added sulfate of ammonia 2 weeks ago, but before I heal it, because it's easy, I'm going to add some dynamic lifter pellets, chicken manure pellets, at the base of each of the plants, and then what I'll do then is I will then start healing. So I'm going to come through. Again, it's just a small bunch like that, just against the plant, and I'll continue on the row and apply it to all the plants. So when it comes to healing the soil, the idea is to move the soil from the center row and up against the corn. So what I'm doing is gently with my hoe, just gently moving that soil across. Now you can cover up the irrigation line. I've done it plenty of times. It doesn't ruin it. It does perfectly fine. But the idea is to really heal that soil hard up against the plants. I'm continuing on. Coming across to the other side, again, center, bringing that soil across onto the corn, and that's the best way to support it. So corn doesn't mind really firm compacted soil, so either using your foot to firm the soil down, or better still a rake. Point is you want the soil to be as firm as you can around the base. So I'm going to come through now and finish off the rest of the patch. So I just finished working through the patch and I've gone and healed all the corn now, and as you can see, they look a lot more supported. The wind is still blowing now, but they're not being knocked around as much, and they actually do much better, I find, if you hill corn. The plant gets a lot stronger, it's a lot better supported, so it's going to hopefully produce that full ear of corn that I'm looking for, potentially 2 ears per corn. So I can continue on with the irrigation now. They will be watered daily. I will add a third side dressing of fertiliser just as the tassels start to show, and that's it. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to make sure that I keep off the cabbage butterfly moths and also the corn ear moths, corn ear grubs, sorry. They do come through if you're not careful. As the corn is forming, they will eat out your corn. I'm really happy with that. Done both patches, so if you go look over there to the back there, I've done my other patch as well. At the moment I've got 36 ears of corn, or 36 plants here, so I'm hoping in January I can come back and show everyone my corn harvest then. So I want to go and do a few other things in the patch now. So the next thing I've got to do now is just to come through and harvest my stewing beans, and actually also my green French beans. This patch has been harvested once and about 7 days ago, and there was a lot of small immature fruit on them. So I'm going to go through now and harvest them. I'm going to try to harvest anything that has the seed starting to bulge in the bean pod. That's the sign it's ready to go. So I've got 3 rows here, hoping to get close to 2 kilos in this spot. So I'm going to come through and harvest it right now. So while I'm harvesting these beans, I just want to bring you closer and show you what stewing beans look like. They're a bit different. They're a lot different to the round beans. These ones, you've really got to cook these down in a stew, essentially. They're a bit too fibrous if you eat them, or a bit slimy even if you eat them partially cooked. So we use these a lot in bean stews, Lebanese dishes and the like. But at this size, this is the size that I usually harvest them at, and yeah, I like to harvest them just a bit earlier where they're not too stringy yet. So to show you, that's there, and that's perfect size. You just want it to show that there's slightly the beans just starting to show, and that's perfect. So continue on. There's a few on here. So this variety is called Mendoza. I do grow another variety called Italian Romano, but at this stage they haven't been planted out. They'll be planted out as my second crop. So just come through. There you go. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to continue harvesting this bed. Look at those, beautiful. One thing I like about these variety is you can see that they're still flowering, even though they're full of, you see flowers there, they're still flowering even though they're full of beans. So what it's showing me is that they are going on their second flush already. So from a productivity perspective, they are quite productive. They do multiple flushes at the same time. So here you can see it's got flowers everywhere, which is great. So, and off one plant you're getting 10 to 15 beans. See, you're just seeing that's all off the one plant. So really happy with that. I've actually just finished off this first row. Still got another 2 rows to go. So I'll keep working through them now. Look at that, beautiful. Look at that size of those beans. Absolutely stunning. Perfect size. A lot of crop on these plants too, which is good to see. So just finished harvesting the beans, and there you go, just got a bucket load of stewing beans. Probably got close to 4 kilos here. There's still heaps of fruit on the plants and they're still flowering, so I'm happy to say that there's a second flush coming through. They're really great. I'm going to give these a bit of a wash, and then what we'll do is we'll break them down into halves or thirds and we'll de-string them, and then we'll put them in the freezer in 1/2 kilo to 1 kilo bags. And then throughout the year, when we need to cook beans for dinner as a stew or something like that, we will take them out from the freezer and use them in the stews. So this specific load is going to go to my mum's. She's got the bigger freezer, so she's going to process them for me, and we'll just use them throughout the year. So really happy with that. So I'm over now at my jade bush bean patch. I planted this patch out at about 4 weeks ago, and the first planting only got 50% germination, so I went and reseeded this patch, and again I've had some pretty poor germination. But what I do in this situation is when I planted my second seeding of the bed, I actually started up a few seedlings in trays. I do find that beans do germinate a lot better in trays than in the beds themselves. So what I've done is I've gone and raised these seedlings, as you can see there, and they're now good to go. They're actually good to be planted out. So what I'm going to do this afternoon is come through and actually just fill in the gaps in between each of the bean rows with some of these new seedlings. So in planting out these seeds, I've got my 2 seedlings here. I've got a batch of seedlings here. I'm looking at putting at least one in the middle, so it's just a matter of just dip it in the ground. There you go. I'll grab one of my seedlings. These are still quite young. They could have waited another week, but you know, I'm happy to get them out sooner rather than later. Plant them in the hole, just drop it in there, bring in the soil back around it, and just compressing the soil, and that's it. That's now good to go. I'm going to continue on and just keep planting a few more in the gaps as they show up. So I just finished planting those out, so now those 5 rows are fully populated with bean seeds. So I'm going to keep them watered for the next few days or so, just make sure the sun doesn't get too hot on them so they don't struggle. But I'm hoping that they catch up to the first planting of seeds and that they all produce pretty well. But I'm really looking forward to getting a crop of these, and I'm expecting in about 6 weeks I'll get my first fruit off these beans. So thank you very much everyone for joining me in today's video. I really appreciate the support. I'm hoping you enjoy watching me working in my patch, and I hope to see you in the next one.